In 2005, Wheel of Time author Robert Jordan was diagnosed with a fatal blood disease, disrupting his plans to finish the beloved series. With his fans in mind, Robert Jordan worked diligently through his final days, writing outlines, notes, and manuscripts so that his masterwork could one day see completion.
His fans, the people who had stuck with him all these years from 1991 on, deserved closure. And he had created an outline which gave them closure, and he wasn't able to finish it himself. We wanted Jim's story to be told.
A friend was staying with me in the week after Jim's funeral and put a printout in front of me and said, "I think you need to read this." It was Brandon Sanderson's eulogy for Robert Jordan, and it was beautiful. Such an expression of love for the books and for Robert Jordan's work. And it ended, "Mr. Jordan, you leave us silently, but you leave us trembling." And I thought, gosh, this is the attitude I would love to see. Brandon at this point was a published fantasy writer. So I called Tom and said, I want one of his books to read. His world, his people, his conflicts were all clear in my mind. And I called Tom and said, "Tom, I think this is the guy."
And she picked Brandon, and we're just delighted because we think nobody could have finished it as well.
I had no idea how to react to this. I could barely talk when I replied to Harriet. In fact, I sent her an email the next day that said, "Dear Harriet, I promise I'm not an idiot." Because I couldn't get out words. Yes, I wanted to be involved in the Wheel of Time. No, I didn't think anybody else could write the Wheel of Time. What do you do when you're in that situation?
We met in December and I picked him up at the airport, brought him back and said, "I've got some hot soup on the stove." He said, "I'd rather have the ending if I could, please."
Which I sat in his chair and read well into the evening that night.
Together, Brandon Sanderson and Team Jordan began building the strategy for finishing the last volume for the Wheel of Time.
Well, he was working with everything Robert Jordan had ever written, including all the notes and speculations, as well as the outline that Jordan dictated in those last weeks.
He intended this book to be enormous. Getting the notes, I said, yep, it's here. I can do this, but it's going to be over 2,000 pages long. At some point, Tor and Harriet discussed how long it was going. And so that's when they came to me and said, we want to split it.
This outline was too complex. There was too much that needed to be told, too much story.
We didn't add to it. This is the length that it was always going to be. But in splitting it, what it allowed us to do is take 3 books and focus them. The Gathering Storm has a focus on Rand and Egwene. They were able to shine in a much more spectacular way because of that. And the things happening with Mat and Perrin could have very easily been overshadowed by Rand and Egwene, who have monumentous things going on.
These last 2 books, #1 bestsellers, #1 international bestsellers, #1 up here on the Globe and Mail as well, the national paper. People read and realized that yes, it wasn't Robert Jordan, but by God, it was being finished properly. And it was being finished from Robert Jordan's notes and his ideas, and Brandon's talent was that he could capture the dream.
With Gathering Storm and Towers of Midnight complete, Brandon Sanderson had to face his greatest challenge yet, writing the final battle in A Memory of Light.
Memory of Light was a challenge for a number of reasons. There is a lot of warfare in this book, more so than all of the others, which needed to be realistic, and the tactics needed to be sound. And these were the sorts of things that Robert Jordan was extremely good at doing. He was a military historian. I don't have his background, so I had to rely a lot on the notes and on Team Jordan. You want the story to be focused on the characters. It has to be a personal story. How to balance that, how to tell the story of these wars in a series which is primarily concerned with the characters was a real push back and forth with the text, trying to massage it and edit it and work it to the point that it would convey their stories, but still be true to the tactics that would make this all come together.
There's been huge enthusiasm. People have been waiting for this for a long time. If they once dipped into it, they wouldn't be able to put it down.
And in January, they will finally get the full story, the final volume of The Wheel of Time. The end of an age has arrived. The Dark One is almost free. The Wheel of Time hangs in the balance, and prophecy must be fulfilled. The last battle begins January 8th.